Hey guys, I just wanted to start off this video by saying that I really appreciate the positive feedback that I got from my last video. It makes me excited. It makes me excited to do this kind of thing. Right off the bat, I just want to jump into it. This is going to be the beginning of a sort of creativity series that I'm doing. Just kind of productivity and creativity and how to handle these kind of things. So I'm going to start off with my favorite 5 tips for people who are just beginning, just starting to write, just starting to do something creative. This is going to be my advice for you as you begin this process. And I'm thinking about doing stuff that branches out into, say, music and so on and so forth because, well, I have a little bit of experience there and I'd like to share that as well if it's something that you guys are interested in. So I'll start off right now. Number 1, finding a topic to write about. An idea can come from many places. It can come from, just watching a movie and all of a sudden you see something that you like or that you hate. And all of a sudden it just kind of stems from there and you start going down that pattern of, what if this person did this? And all of a sudden now you're writing an entirely different story based off of something that you just saw or you just heard or you just experienced in some way, shape, or form. But not all ideas, come that way, and they don't have to come that way. They don't have to be a burst of, spontaneity or inspiration or anything like that. It doesn't have to be that way. And actually a really useful tool that you can use if you're not the kind of person who can just come up with an idea on the fly is a product called KDP Rocket. You can check that product out. It's about $100. Basically what it is, it's a sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess it's sort of a search engine compilation database. It's weird, but it's very useful. And the reason why I suggest people use it as a, effective tool for finding ideas is because, well, that's one of the main reasons why it was created. See, you can, in KDP Rocket, search a term, say it'd be fantasy book, and it'll give you a list of all of the kinds of fantasy books that are being searched for currently. And that's really, really useful. Say if you're, whatever kind of thing it might be, say a coming of age fantasy book or a science fiction book about rabbits, whatever random idea it could be, it's there. And you may not have thought about it before, but you'll see it and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I can write a book about that. If you're the kind of person that can do that can shift gears and write about anything, you just need a little help getting started, this is a really useful tool. And I know that $100 may be a lot for some people. I paid it when I was just getting started. I didn't have a very good job or anything like that. And it is one of those things that doesn't feel great, but I highly recommend it. I just think it's a good investment of your money. I don't think that it'll hurt. In the long run, I have never looked back on it, and I'm glad years later down the road, it's a tool that I still use for keywords and Amazon ads and so on and so forth. It's just really, really useful, and it'll be more useful to you over time. All right, tip number 2 is no Starbucks, no Wi-Fi. And this is kind of a generalization, but the reason why I wanted to share it is because I think it's really easy for people to get into a habit where they think, oh, well, I'm too distracted at home, let me go somewhere else, and that distraction will be lessened in that situation. Now, sometimes that works well for people. Sometimes you can go to Starbucks and just being out of the house is enough. So I don't want to put that down. But for me personally, since all of these things are coming from my own experience, the issue that I have is that my bad habits don't die from location to location. So if I have a problem getting distracted, it's gonna exist in Starbucks because Starbucks has Wi-Fi. And so I will hop on my phone and be distracted there the same way or with the same ease as I would get distracted at my own house. It doesn't change anything for me. So what I end up basically doing when I go into that situation is that I just spend money on coffee and then get distracted. So it's not a really useful tool to me. So my suggestion instead is to go somewhere, if you're gonna go somewhere, to go somewhere that doesn't have Wi-Fi. I like going to IHOP. If I'm gonna spend coffee somewhere or spend money on coffee somewhere, I would rather spend money in a place where I know my productivity is actually gonna be limited. I also recommend going with a buddy if you're gonna go to Starbucks. Switch phones with each other. It's okay to ask for help in these situations, and a lot of times you'll have a friend who's going to school or is writing on something themselves, and you just say, hey, let's switch phones. You hold on to my phone, I'll hold on to your phone, and at the end of a timer, we'll give this back to each other. And from there, you can kind of build each other up. You know, like I said, it's okay to ask for help, I do the same thing when I'm at home. If I don't want to go anywhere, I'll just give my phone to my friend or my wife and just say, hey, hold on to this for me because I need to get stuff done. And they're happy to do it. They don't even, oh yeah, sure, throw it in the desk, so they don't care. Tip number 3 is work competitively. It kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying in the second tip, which is like go out with somebody and work together. Now, what I mean by work competitively is some people just work better when they have a stick behind them instead of a carrot in front of them. So one of the things that you can do is you can say, hey, so-and-so, brother, why don't you and I make a bet? First one to 500 words, gets a free dinner on the other person. But you do that enough times, I promise you're not going to want to continue losing that bet. You're going to try harder or you're going to stop. And that's okay too. Like, this career isn't for everybody, and it's good to know what your limitations are. And also, what doesn't work for you. Like, this will not work for everybody. As a matter of fact, it might build some bitterness in some people, and that's really not what I want. When I say work competitively, I mean in the original sense of the word, which means to strive together. It was something that I was very moved by when I found out that this process of being competitive, the true definition of the word is to say, like, I'm going to do better because this other person pushes me to be better, and vice versa. That striving together is really, really important. It's something that I think we take for granted, and I think we've kind of lost sense of the word. And so I think it's good to have a friendly competition in order to motivate yourself, if that's going to work for you. Now, before I go on to step 4, I just wanted to share that the part 2 of my Rebel of Kings series is now out and available if you guys want to go ahead and get that. I put a link in the description, and I really appreciate it. It's free. Once again, it's free for you to read. You can check it out. I also put a link for the entire book if you want to just get yourself a physical copy. These videos help me in order to promote my book, and I'm really grateful for anybody who wants to show support to me. You can do that by watching these videos. You can do that by reading a free version of my book, or you can do that by buying my book, or you can do it just by, being around and being friendly. I just have to share this kind of thing, and I'm looking forward to working on this kind of process, and just wanted to put it out there for you guys in case this is something that you're interested in. But anyways, back to the other stuff. So step 4 and step 5 kind of go in a different direction. I think that in the first 3 tips, it was good to give you some practical advice that you could take and run with. This side of things is going to be more mental preparation or mental motivation. Let's say that. Mental motivation. So step 4 is write as if no one is going to read it but you. And I think that is, first off, a very realistic thing. When you write your first book, when you write your first anything, it's a very limited amount of people that get to read that and get to experience it. And, you have to put in the work to be able to promote that. And if you don't, then don't count on anybody to read it. And even if you do, count on very few people to read it. This is just a realistic talk. But I think it's encouraging because you need to be able to write for yourself. If you can't write for yourself and you're only writing for validation of other people or whatever kind of thing it may be, you're going to be in for a really rocky road, because it's just the way that things go. I don't really know what it is, but as soon as you create anything that's creative, you're going to have critics. And even if you don't have critics, that may be worse. At least if people are critiquing you, then you're being read. But what is so encouraging about this is that you're able to find the joy in writing, find the joy in being creative. If you can write something for yourself and enjoy it, then it's a process that you can do over and over and over again. You don't ever have to get tired of doing a certain thing because you're finding the joy in it. You're doing it for you. Where I got this advice in the first place is from Robert De Niro, one of the most famous actors. I don't even need to explain who he is. You know who he is. He talked about his process early on in his acting career, and he said that one of the things he would do is he would tell himself, I'm not going to get this part. And then when he did that, he was able to go in and do things, make choices, act a certain way, inflict a certain way that otherwise he would not have been free to do, because he would have been thinking, well, I need to play it safe and get the role. Whereas now he was saying, I can be free, I can be creative, and it doesn't matter because I'm not going to get the role. And then it turned into a pleasant surprise afterwards. And I think that that's just such a useful tool to just free yourself up from the fear. It's kind of like writing yourself a rejection letter. It's like, the worst has already happened and it's not so bad. You get used to it. You build tougher skin and you're able to move forward in a more impressive way. Free yourself. 5th and final tip of the day is going to be aim small, miss small. It comes from a quote that I really like in The Patriot, where these kids are shooting, and they say, aim small, miss small, aim small, miss small. And I think that the principle behind that is if you aim for a very small target, that if you're going to miss that very small target from far away, you're still going to get close. Whereas if you aim for a broad target, you might miss. And then because you miss, it's a lot more discouraging, because what was big and momentous in front of you and what you should have been able to tackle now feels like you failed in some way. And you shouldn't feel that way. So my advice is to aim small, miss small. In this case, what I'm talking about is, writing a very large amount of words. The common thing, or at least advice that I've heard in the past, is you want to try and write 500 words a day, 2,000 words a day, whatever your limit is. It's something big, and you chunk away at it, you chunk away at it, chunk away out of it, and then you can get done with your book faster. I think it's the opposite thing. In line with you have to write for yourself, it's also a process of you have to write in a way that is not going to be discouraging. So for instance, I would give the opposite advice. I would say start with 20 words. Write 20 words, and all of a sudden it's only taking you 10 seconds to write 20 words, or maybe a minute to write 20 words. You can say, okay, here's another one. I'll write another 20 words. And then it's just another minute, and so on and so forth. And then another set, and then another set, and then another set, until eventually you have 500 words, 400 words, 600 words, 1,000 words, whatever you manage to do in the day or when your course of writing. Just by overcoming these small obstacles, you're able to get a lot more done and feel better about the process as you go along. That's my 5 tips for today. I am happy to share more tips as time goes on. I really encourage you guys to start doing something creative, start having fun with your passions and your hobbies. And, for my own sake, I shared with you guys what I'm working on already. If you feel like supporting, by all means, go ahead. And in the meantime, I'll be coming up with more videos eventually. Feel free to subscribe to this channel or leave me a comment telling me what you think or what you'd like to see next. Really looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts. And guys, just have a great day. God bless you. Take care.